Welcome, Miami Hurricanes fans. I am excited to get to this. I know it's a little bit late. We had to wrap up some post-game interviews, and you can check out the site. I'm going to post some more as the night goes on. But I just want to give a little bit of an instant reaction to Miami's 31-14 win. I got to give a huge shout out to people already. Before we even get this thing started, John and Norman, the donations are awesome, especially because I had a little bit of a tough time earlier today on the pregame show. A little disappointed that did not work out. Hopefully you guys are here tonight and want to talk about the team. If you guys have any comments, definitely jump in on the chat. I know many of you were already chatting earlier amongst yourselves before I was able to jump on. Neo, hopefully you're here. Hopefully things are going okay at work. Definitely want to read your comments. Curious what you guys have to say about this one. Let me know if the audio is working. Definitely want to make sure everything's good to go there. But I think tonight, maybe I'm going to get to some things that stand out to me from watching the game. And I wrote some notes down as the game was going on because I wanted to talk to you guys about them. I guess just first off, the 31-14 win. And I felt like, just based on the chat on Inside the U, message boards, the live updates that we do. And I want to make sure we're still good to go here. Give me 1 second. Zoo, what's going on? Glad you're here. But one thing that stood out to me, and I know people were a little disappointed that it wasn't this huge performance that you were hoping for. And I understand where people are coming from. Look, a lot has been made in the offseason about the offense. So when De'Aaron King steps foot on campus, you want to see a big performance out of him. One thing you want to see is Rhett Lashley just have one of those big time offensive performances. And I think particularly with that, even though Miami is close to 500 total yards, and I think you would take that number, I think you wanted to see more done in the passing game. I also think you wanted to see more done in the first half. I think that those were the two things that stand out to me of why people were a little bit disappointed. And I understand why. It makes sense to me. Hold on. We got to make sure this chat thing is going strong here. Everything's good to go with that. And also real quick, if you guys want to, I'm gonna release the De'Aaron King press conference on the channel. That's ready to go to. Give me 2 seconds here. I already posted the Manny Diaz press conference. You can check that out. And I'm gonna go live right now on the De'Aaron King. So we're good to go there. You guys can watch that. And then I'll post the other players, Quincy Roche, Nesta Jade Silvera, and Cameron Harris. So I want to just knock those things out, but I understand why people are a little bit bothered that maybe it didn't quite go as well as you had hoped. You're hoping for that big win. UAB, a solid team from last year, returns a lot of guys, but I don't think that really strikes a lot of credit for Miami fans, and I think you're hoping for like a big time performance. So let's get into what did go right. The running game, 337 yards was very impressive in the sense that it didn't feel like Miami was going to be slowed down. It felt like there were opportunities for De'Aaron King to hold the ball on the options, the run pass options, or just the options that he had to either hand the ball off and take it on his own. And I thought maybe there were some opportunities there, but you understand, they wouldn't get these other guys involved, and you can't fault him for doing that. Cameron Harris had a big day, and not just a big day, but he had that 66-yard run, which you like to see. You like to see him explode. After the game, he credited his work in the offseason for his big-time performance. So you like seeing that guys feel like their hard work is paying off. And I thought Don Chaney Jr. comes in, had his 33-yard run. Jalen Knighton had that 25-yard run and an 18-yard run. Really showed some good balance. Felt like anytime he touched the ball, he's got a chance to move forward with the ball with a big play. And I think those are flashes that you'd like to see. Maybe it's not going to be this. Maybe it's going to be the running game that really does well for Miami. The offensive line continues to have a good day. I think there were times during the game that maybe that the up tempo did catch up with them. But I think that, I think part of it too is you got to remember it is the first game. And real quick, I want to make sure we get this thing going here. This happened the other night with the chat real quick. And again, the De'Aaron King is up and ready to go. And I want to make sure that we get this chat thing going too. And I can see your guys' comments. I just want to make sure it shows up on the video the way that you guys would like to see it. And I would definitely want to get to your comments in addition to that. But just in my mind, I feel like in totality, just the whole thing, I think, yes, it could have been better, but I also think it's the first game. And I do feel like with what I said going into the game with De'Aaron King, one of the keys to me, not just his above average play, what you can possibly get out of him or what you're hoping to get. I thought as a minimum, maybe tonight was that. Maybe as a minimum, this is as this is what you can get. You don't see, and maybe, yeah, maybe you would like to see a little bit more of that. And I understand that you want to see more. Everybody wants to see more. I just thought it was a solid start for the opener, and something that they can build on, hopefully. Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's get to some of your stuff. Zupride, a lot of what I was saying. Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Just happy that football's back, and I understand with that is expectations, everything. Here we go. We got the chat going. Everyone expects big things with expectations. And you want a lot of things to go right. And I understand it. I think that we do need to take a little bit of a step back, and not just because that's what the team is saying or that's what Manny Diaz feels and things like that. I just think that there is something to be said with it, because I do think this team's going to continue to get better. I think that's the big thing, and we'll see, right? I mean, if you don't get the results in these next few games that you would like, they're going to take losses. Louisville next week, Florida State, even with, if you feel like they're struggling, they're going to be able to do enough. And then obviously everything's leading up to that Clemson game. What's going on with my head here? Okay, we need to we need to get this thing going here. Wait 1 second. Okay, I think I'm back here. I think we're okay. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so just kind of touching on a few things. O-line feels like Norman. Glad you're here. Once again, I thanked you earlier. Hopefully you saw that. Definitely glad you're here, though. Yeah, the offensive line maybe needs work on the run game a little bit, but you got to be happy with the production. And the one thing with the running game that De'Aaron said afterwards was this? The question was it actual game plan going into it where you go with the heavy passing, or the heavy run game is 52-26, so definitely double it up on the runs. But he said no, there was actually adjustments that we made based on some of the things that UAB was doing, and I thought that was interesting, that maybe that's not exactly what they expected from UAB, but they were able to make those adjustments, and they went ahead and just pounded the run. And the one thing too, Brett Lashley has talked a lot about the run game being a strength. They want it to be a strength moving forward. A lot is made of the passing game with this spread offense, fast tempo, and they did run 78 plays, so the tempo was there. But they wanted to make sure that they are going to run the ball. Now, you didn't expect this kind of a split, but the point is, running the ball is going to be important for him, for the offense. And I think you saw that tonight, and you saw why. Obviously, you can run the ball, but if you're not productive, if you're not getting those big gains, and really you got to look at De'Aaron King as a fourth guy that can provide runs, and you have essentially four backs, four guys that can get runs, 20 yards or more, really get first downs, really put the pressure on the defense. I talked about it earlier, but Derek had opportunity to maybe even run for more than what he did. So I thought that was good to see from the running game, that four guys showed that they are threats. And yes, after the game, Cameron Harris said he was fine. He did walk off on his own power. It wasn't on the TV broadcast, but he did walk off from that injury early in the fourth quarter, and with the lead, he didn't come back in, but he said he's fine after the game, so we just have to take his word. If anything changes, we'll let you know. Talk about some other guys. And as far as Jalen, yeah, YRN, yeah, I have to scroll back up which Jalen you're talking about. And but yeah, definitely anybody wants to do something, we're definitely all for that. So Vivek, glad you're here, man. Shout out to you. Jalen Phillips, solid in debuts. Yeah, let's talk about. So Roche had 4 tackles, had the sack, 27 in his career now, leads all FBS players. I thought that was great to see. Throws up the U, you saw it. And one thing that happened a little bit more in the second half was, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but Quincy and Jalen actually switched sides a little bit more, mixing it up between who was the left end and right end. And I thought that was good. I think that's good chemistry. I think that's a good example of veterans getting an idea of maybe how to be even more effective, and maybe just kind of mix it up for the offensive line on the other team. I thought that was a good sign. As far as Jalen Phillips goes, yeah, he didn't have the sack, but there were times, if you guys were watching in the game, where he showed an elite burst off the edge. I thought that was great. There were times he definitely made their quarterbacks, regardless of who it was, whether there was Johnston or Lucero, he really pressured the quarterback into maybe making some quicker throws. And I think that's good because of that pressure from the end. And I think also, even when he wasn't maybe even getting those first few yards upfield a little bit, I thought Jalen was doing a good job of, they definitely were aware of him. You know what I mean? I think they definitely sensed his presence and that they definitely needed to get the ball out a little bit. And I think maybe the both of them, combined with the fact I thought Nesta Jade Silvera was strong, 5 tackles, 1 for a loss, but I think he was always in the mix. I want to get to him in a second, but I think that was one of the reasons why UAB. So I was told, I'll let you guys know, and I was going to talk about this on the pregame show, but I was told that UAB felt very confident in their ability to attack Miami's secondary. That was something that they wanted to, maybe, I don't know if exploit is the right word, but that's whether they felt like they had an advantage or it felt like they could take advantage of Miami's secondary. And you saw it early. You saw it on the touchdown. Austin Watkins Jr. catches that touchdown on DJ Ivy. Al Blades gave up a few passes. But what struck me as it's going on is there was a lot of short passes. Myron Mitchell got loose a little bit, and they were able to throw the ball downfield a little bit. But it felt like maybe because of Miami's pressure, they weren't able to hold the ball as long as they would like, and it felt like there were a lot of short passes. Also, I think maybe in this game you saw the difference of arm strength from De'Aaron King and then what UAB had. I thought that stood out to me, and maybe that's a reason why they weren't going downfield as much either. So just touching on a few things like that. Yeah, I'm looking up here. Dominic, what's going on? Any update on Cam? I think people said it earlier, but yeah, he said he's fine. And I'm going through the comments. I just want to make sure we're touching base on everybody. You probably cornerbacks need to tighten up. There's no doubt about that. Corey Couch as well. It gives up that big pass play. He creates a fumble, but gives up that 30-yard gain. So even he needs to step up too. Tighten up because it's coming. Talk about Clemson in game 4, but Louisville with Tutu Atwell, he's a big-time threat, and I think it helps that Miami saw him last year. They know what to expect, but you're expecting Louisville to be even, the guys have more experience, and Tutu's a completely different receiver with his playmaking ability than a guy like Watkins that they saw tonight. So they'll definitely need to tighten up, and you're right, Zoo Pride for sure. What else do we got? Caned Up, glad you're here. Shout out to you. You're always here. I always appreciate you. I think that's a good way to sum it up. I think there is a lot to be excited about. I wouldn't have guessed that Miami would have ran for as many yards as they did. And I know that takes away from maybe not producing in the passing game that you would like, but I think it was good because I think you saw multiple guys. I think that was good. As far as defense goes, I thought Bradley Jennings Jr. did a good job. 6 tackles, led the team. I thought he was active. I thought he did a good job plugging holes. And I think that, I think there were a few times UAB was able to get to the perimeter a little bit in their run game. But for the most part, I thought Miami did a good job of going and wrapping up. And that's another thing, too, with the tackling. I thought the tackling was pretty good, especially for an opening game. Once again, it's the opening game. There are things that still need to get better. And if this is going to be the best that Miami plays all year, it's obviously going to be a long season. But I think it's fine. I think it was good that even though Miami got down early 7-0, I think when they got up 14-7, I thought that was good and kind of telling. I felt like it kind of set the tone and it helped Miami kind of to stay out in front and then kind of build from it. And also, too, Miami did a good job of responding to UAB's touchdowns with touchdowns of their own. So I thought that was good. And I want to check, make sure we're good here. Terry, what's going on? Okay, shout out to you. Glad you're here. When the passing game catches up with it, and also with the passing game, it also felt like, so De'Aaron goes the 141 passing yards. You can always look at like what could be and maybe how things could be better, but you do feel like, okay, if there's a couple 20-yarders in there, maybe connects deep, maybe it looks a little different. And one thing you got to remember too, and Derek talked about it post game once again, his interviews on the site right now on the channel. He only played the first 4 games last year, so he's not played in a long time. He also mentioned, playing for a new team, but that was different. But he also mentioned, this is the first game playing without his father after his father passed away in February, and just the connection that they had and talking post game all the time. He definitely said that was on his mind too. So you definitely have to think about those things. But just once again, I think that the big thing for De'Aaron is I just don't think this is his best, and I think he did fine tonight. I thought you saw a difference in when he ran the ball. I thought he was complete control. It felt like he could pick up third downs, pick up first downs when he needed to, had a good sense on what's going on, and he'll pick things up with the connecting with the receivers. You saw it with Brevin Jordan. As the game went on, he was able to find them, some big gains. That was an impressive catch by Brevin. A good throw by Jordan on that, or a good throw by King. I think it was about 20 yards, where Jordan missed earlier in the game, went right back to him later on and made a tough throw. And then also Jordan on the touchdown looked pretty simple, pretty easy. And I think that's what you want to see, particularly with Brevin, increasing his touchdown production, I think is important. I want to get to a few things. I'm only going to plan on going for about 30 minutes tonight. I want to get to some more things before we wrap this up, and we're about halfway through, and that's great. And I'm glad you guys are here for it. I just want to do some quick reaction type things as well. And I definitely want to talk about Nesta here as well here in a little bit. But what else do we got? To make sure you get to your stuff. Roche and Phillips, yeah, definitely. Ronald, what's going on? Shout out to you. They know what he can do. Yeah, most definitely. And once again, just going to be a challenge. Lakers all day. Any news on Cam? Yeah, he said he's fine. He did post-game interview. There are 4 players they brought out, and he was one of them, and he was asked about it, and he said he's fine. You have to take him for what his word. And once again, it wasn't shown on TV, but he did walk off the field. So we'll see if anything changes there. Also, just kind of get to some post-game stuff. Tate Martell was suspended for the first game. Manny Diaz said he will be back, and also to confirm a report that was out there earlier that Zalante Hillary and Kylian Herbert, 2 reserve offensive linemen, did opt out for the season, so they will not play this year. So there's 4 guys that are not going to be out, or who are out this season. Safety Avante Williams, dealing with an injury, was announced before. He's not going to play this year. And then Isaiah Walker did not get his waiver from transferring from Florida, so he's out as well. So those 4 guys, and then are out for the season. So I think maybe just some housekeeping stuff there. And, with Tate missing a game, obviously he wasn't figuring to be in the mix. And we'll just see if anything kind of comes of Tate. I think maybe some people might be excited, or the potential, the dual threat, maybe the weapon. But you look at Miami's offense, they've got a lot of guys. Running backs are doing fine. Tight ends, you feel good about that. And then receivers, there's not a lot of opportunities at this point in time. But you never know what might happen. I think it was good to get N'Kosi Perry in the game. And whenever backup quarterbacks get in the game, I always like that they're not just passing the ball. So he's able to make a few throws. He actually scrambled to his right a little bit and ran it out and made a play. So I thought that was good that N'Kosi got in those few minutes and didn't just hand the ball off to the running backs. What's just your assessment of the interior of the O-line on pass plays? I saw way too much penetration, and I agree with you. I thought DJ Scaife, there was a time where I didn't think he engaged enough. I think the thing that we're gonna have to watch for with the offensive line is just that making sure they're not getting fatigued in this hurry up offense. But once again, on pass plays, it definitely felt like it was a little bit too much penetration, and I think De'Aaron's going to have to get used to it, or make adjustments, or the offensive line is going to have to get a little bit better with that. But I definitely saw the same thing you did. I think there were opportunities where De'Aaron could have maybe stayed in the pocket a little bit more and made stronger throws downfield if there was a little bit more pressure off of him. And I thought the O-line didn't. So a few more things. Let's see. Tate Martell. Yeah, I agree. Okay, what else have we got? Zoo Pride. Yep, 44. Bradley Jennings did well. Good to see. And also Wayman Steed. He played in a reserve role, did good as well. And Manny Diaz talked about there was a time that he didn't know if either of those guys were going to come back and play football. Just speaking on the seriousness of their injuries from missing last season. So I think it was great to see them out there. What a good look at King. Yeah, he's fast. That's what the players said afterwards too. They kind of enjoyed watching him. Even Quincy Roche, being a defensive player, just kind of enjoyed watching him play, and I thought that was good to see. And Cameron Harris said it too, just like, wow, he's really fast. So it's Colbert. It's not just that he's fast. He's got a sense of where to go. He's got good recognition of the plays in terms of where the defense is. He just when he takes off and running, it feels like he's got a sense of where he wants to go. I think that's when you're talking about his creativity, ability to make plays. It's not that he's just running fast. He definitely has somewhere to go. And real quick, speaking of running fast, I thought it was good that Mark Pope bounced back from that fumble. And I know many of you, if you jumped on the live stream last night with the simulation, I'm sure you thought of that, the way that game ended, and then seeing Mark Pope fumble his first touch. But I thought it was good that they took him out for the next punt return. They put in Gervin Hall, but then they went right back to Pope, and I thought that was good because he made a few good runs. I think he's got to gain some confidence back there, but obviously he's got to hang on to the ball or he's going to lose that job. But I thought it was good to see from Mark as well. And I think, again, those downfield passing threats, I think they're going to connect. I think it just took a little bit, first game and everything. I think that it's just something that they're definitely going to work on. I think they will connect on it. And once again, if it becomes an issue, then we'll definitely discuss that. But I'm not quite worried yet about that because obviously the incomplete passes are disappointing downfield. Jesse, what's going on? What's your preview against Louisville? Yeah, we can jump right into that. I think that what stands out to me real quick about Louisville, and I don't want to talk too much because plenty to get to with this game, but just real quick about Louisville, what stands out to me is they've got some guys back on offense. Their key guys back at quarterback, with Tutu a receiver dynamic, and also in the running game. So that's a quick reaction. A lot of people are excited about Louisville this year taking that jump. Obviously, with what Miami did last year, putting up those points, Louisville's going to have to be better on defense. But we'll see how it goes. I think every game's going to be a challenge, really. I mean, the way we look at it. But once again, I think you guys saw tonight why you should be excited about De'Eric. He just has a good control of it. Like I said, even when things seem to be struggling, he has a chance an ability every time they get the ball that there's a chance to move forward with the drive. And I feel like you saw it with the running game, but I think De'Eric makes a big impact in that. I just feel like the offense, that's going to be different with the offense. I don't think you're going to be so concerned and so worried. Are they not going to be able to do anything this drive? I think with De'Eric, I think there's always a potential to move a drive forward. And he saw that as the game went on. Yes, it might have struggled at times, but okay, so then you start getting a couple touchdowns in the second half and just continue to grind away. And all of a sudden you look up and they had almost 500 yards of total offense, ran 78 plays, 337 rushing. So I felt like they kind of did what they wanted to do. And they'll clean some things up in the passing game is the big thing. Yeah, the simulation, you know what? I will say this, if anybody's curious about the simulation, I wish it was a little bit more, there's a little bit of things that I'm not able to tweak. You know, I think the tempo is one, but I do set the depth chart and the ratings and those things like that. I try to do it as accurate as possible. And like I said, I designed the uniforms. So, yeah, and definitely, you know, I think do it next week if you guys like it. Maybe go longer on minutes. But that's just maybe a few adjustments to make. But yeah, that Pope thing was pretty crazy. But yeah, and I saw a lot of people hitting that thumbs down on that video, but hopefully people liked the video that it was done and not that and that it had to do with the way it ended. So it's all good. All love. I appreciate everybody jumping on here. I appreciate your patience. I know it's late. Getting to a few things, and also if you guys want more information on the Hurricanes, you can check out InsideTheU.com. I have videos on the channel right now, on the YouTube channel, from post-game press conferences, but also articles that will be on the site already right now, and I'm going to stay up and do more after we wrap this thing up. But I want to get back to Nesta J. Silvera. I thought it was good performance from him. You know, after you got to watch his video. I'm going to put it up tonight. I'm going to put it up in a group of videos of the players. But you got to watch Nesta and just his personality. One question was, is this the best game you've played at Miami? I hadn't really done anything the first 2 years in the sense that he hadn't started and had a productive game like he did tonight, where, essentially giving him credit for his performance tonight. And he just kind of basically um, brushed it off and, didn't think much of it, and basically feels like he definitely feels like he could do more than what he did tonight. I think that was the key takeaway. Regardless of how he answered it, I think that was the big thing. Just he feels like he's just getting started, and I think that's a great sign. That's what you want from a guy like that. One thing that I noticed about him during the game, there was a point where I think it was Jared Harrison Hunt came into the game just on rotation. I think it was a third down play, and they were rotating their defensive tackles in. And Nesta, it looked like he brushed him aside, like didn't, or he kind of shrugged his shoulder, like didn't want to come off the field. And I like that. I like that guy. Now, saying that, it's something the coaches will have to deal with, and that whole thing. I get it. However, I like that the player wants to be out there, wants to, is doing well essentially, and wants to impact the team even more. Assuming he was having a good drive at that time, you do want him still that he wants to be out there, and I think that's great. Like I said, I do understand the coaching aspect of it, but one thing that stood out to me one time, a coach told me about a player, a good player, starter, Division One caliber player, the whole thing. One thing the coach said, it was a high school coach talking about him, and he was like, "Yeah, he's great and everything," and he said, at one point, he said to me, he was like, "I just wish he didn't listen to me as much as he does." And when you hear that, you're like, what does that even mean? You want the players to always listen to the whole thing, but basically, he wanted the player to show like his confidence and making plays and see things on his own and just kind of play. And I think that's an interesting perspective, even from a coach. He wants him to listen to him, but the way he that reversed it, like I wish he didn't as much, if that makes any sense. And maybe I can expand on it another time. But my point is, even though it might be a little bit difficult in the moment, and I don't know if it was, I'm just saying you can understand that a coach is like, no, get off the field. We're telling you to come off. Don't pout, those kind of things. I think in, in the big picture, you want players that do that. You want players to want to be out there, even if it means it's a little bit, maybe you have to just work through it a little bit. So I thought that was a good sign, and hopefully that continues. But more importantly, more than that, hopefully he plays well. Hopefully he plugs the middle, getting pressure. I thought that his production up front and John Ford, those two guys are going to need to play well, because there's going to be a lot of attention. There's going to be maybe some double teams shifting over for Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips at defensive end. So the defensive tackles definitely have to be good. I thought tonight was a good start for that. Andre, okay, glad you're here. Isaiah sitting out is a blessing in disguise, and he's a refine his technique. Yeah, and I think it's fine. I think he's a young offensive lineman. They've got other guys that they feel comfortable with, so I don't think there's that pressure. And I think it's also good of letting it be known now, so he can kind of approach the season a certain way. And I think that's good to, at least he knows how that's going to go. So what else do we got? Lakers all day. Yeah, definitely was fast for sure. Definitely was fast. So if anybody has any extra questions, I'm going to drop in real quick. I'm going to wrap this up once again. There's going to be plenty of content on the site. There already is right now. Just want to do this quick reaction. And also, I apologize for not being able to get the live show pregame done. I'll definitely have some ideas what I want to do with highlights and talk about certain things, and we definitely can get to that next week. I'll definitely tighten everything up. Same way with this as well. There's a few things I'm still working on as I do this. A little bit frustrating, no doubt, but that's why I definitely want to thank guys like John and Norman, particularly for their donations. It definitely is helpful. Today was um, honestly, today was supposed to be one of those really exciting days. It was just a little bit frustrating that I couldn't deliver with something I really wanted to do for you guys. So I was a little frustrated at the time. So getting that is definitely a big boost to me, and I definitely appreciate it. And honestly, the fact that there's people in here right now post game, it's late. It doesn't matter where you are in the country, around the world, it's late, and definitely appreciate you guys taking your time, because there's plenty of people grinding out post-game content right now all across the internet and things like that, media outlets. So I definitely appreciate you guys taking your time to jump in here with me. Definitely appreciate it. But I'm planning on doing this. It's still new, still working on some things. And as far as timing goes, makes it a little bit tougher because, again, I'm trying to pump out content, but also I want to get to some instant reaction on a few things. Before I wrap this up, a few other things I want to get to that we haven't really talked about. Maybe let's talk about more about the secondary, the safeties. Keontra Smith, I thought made some good plays in there. Gilbert Frierson, and again, with that safety rotation, it just is what it is. I know maybe most of you or a lot of you would like to see Bubba Bolden in there more, but you definitely saw him as the game went on. And they just rotate their guys in. Amari Carter, Gervin Hall, and once again with the defense, maybe there were some times to make some more plays. It looked like they could have got their hands on some balls, maybe some interceptions. I think as long as they're around the ball, I think that's good because I think it's going to come. I think the interceptions will be there. But I thought what was good about the defense was all of a sudden you look up and UAB's still stuck at, they're 14 points or 7 points. They weren't really moving the ball. Yes, UAB wanted to pass the ball downfield. Yes, they had a running back with 3,000 career yards, did well last week, but all of a sudden you look up and they're not really doing much. And I think that's a good thing for the defense because, maybe that you did want a little bit more, but all of a sudden you look up and you're like, man, these guys are doing really solid, under 300 total yards, so that's a good sign. First half, they held UAB to 1 for 8 on third downs. I thought that was good. You definitely like to see that. So I just didn't get the sense that UAB ever felt comfortable, other than a few plays in that first drive. There were some plays here and there that they made. Even Mitchell in the passing game was able to get loose for some big catches, but they just didn't seem to really threaten in that sense. Even though if the game was tight, it's I think it was 17-14 at one point. I just thought the defense did a good job holding back there, and they got the one touchdown on a short field. So, overall, you got to feel pretty good about it. Once again, just wrapping things up. Obviously, you want to see more from the Hurricanes. However, it was the first game. I thought it was good that Miami pulled away. They actually covered the spread. So you're looking at, 14 point, 14, 15, whatever the spread was, if you pay attention to that. We go ahead and get that 17-point win. Could have been more, but also I think it was good just to get this one out of the way. I think that there's things to work on. I think, once again, when we talk about UAB, returned a lot of players, a team that played last week, a team that was better than the teams Miami lost to down the stretch last year. So I think that's a good sign that you got to feel like you're hoping Miami's better than what they showed last year. And I think that's the key. I do think Miami's got to get better. Starts with Louisville. We go Louisville, Florida State, Clemson on the schedule. Louisville, September 19th. Be sure to check out the site for plenty of information on that. We'll do that simulation again. I want to mix it up a little bit. But you can also go back. I did a sneak peek if you want to see a quick thing about Louisville, because anytime I do those simulations and those sneak peeks, it's not just to show you guys what it looks like in a video game. It's my opportunity to maybe talk about those two teams, talk about things, different topics, whether it's Louisville or UAB or Florida State, Clemson, any of those teams that I've done. If you didn't get a chance to see that, maybe go ahead and check that out. Sports Shy, what's going on? Glad you're here. I'm getting ready to bounce, but I'm glad you popped on right at the end. Andre, thanks for jumping on. I'm glad you liked it. A little touch and go with the audio visual type stuff tonight, but I think it worked out okay. Yeah, Colbert, I'm glad you're here as well. Zoo, I always appreciate you saying that. But yeah, definitely if you guys like this show, you want to see it continue, hit the like button. It definitely helps out the channel. And subscribe. Once again, got 10,000. We've got to get to 20. The road to 20K is on its way. I think we can do it. Hopefully in the next year. That'd be crazy, but that's a goal. And the only way we do that is people like you, Zoo, and everybody else in here that's watching the channel, spreads the word, goes ahead and hits the like button and watches this and spread it. And I'm going to keep pumping out content. Once again, finally, just a huge thanks to John and Norma for their donations. Hopefully everybody has a good night. I'm going to go put up some more content, more videos. You want to check the channel on the players and things like that. Definitely watch those and check them out. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Definitely.